Hello everyone, so this is the official first chapter of Book 1, Crying Beginnings, of Fox's Creed, my first series I ever written successfully. Hope you like it. I don't have any specific voice actors, so it'll mostly just be me, so it might be funny that I try to do the voices of some of these characters, but I hope you really enjoy this. So here it is. Chapter 1, Part 1, Book 1. Warning, there's going to be romance, comedy, descriptions, and visual blood, and no, there will not be any inappropriate things like swear words or anything nasty. Thank you.
In the year 4690, Vertaz, there was a big fox attack. But not just normal foxes. They were demon foxes with seismic power. They all attacked and almost destroyed our world. But our great, powerful wizards and master elves helped defeat those evil creatures. Kroshimu, Thekfanis, Marblissu, Fuxishu, and Archani were contained. But Darwoon and Blastier escaped us. They're all foxes, with only 4 that aren't anymore. My son, Garashi, a villager, Freya, a mysterious girl, Mataro, and one that no one has classified yet. I never got the chance to tell these children about this, but I bet they'll find out. The village will surely tell them, right? No, they did not. 13 years went by, and the only one that knew about the fox in them was Mataro. She wanted to free the others, or even thought to just tame them down to the point where they wouldn't destroy Vertaz was good. Garashi always wakes up and does his duty without a word spoken. I feel guilty for doing this to him. He could be such a normal kid if I didn't do this. But there was no choice, or we would all be dead. Garashi has a blue and green jacket he always wore, and even sewed on a snake symbol on it to match the village. He has messy red hair and a scratch on his eyebrow that Kroshimu left him with. With the sealing spell, he gained 2 orange marks on his cheek. In the morning, Garashi decided to go meditate in a quiet place, thinking everyone would just run away from him. Freya was already there, and ran away before Garashi saw her. She was shy around him, but not scared. Freya watched from behind a tree. She watched Garashi walk into the middle of the meadow. He sat down on a giant mushroom and stared blankly at the sky for a moment, giving a weird look before taking a breath and going into meditation. Freya sat there for a while, just watching him in confusion. Wasn't he going to attack or something? Garashi finally felt something watching him, so with a swift motion, he threw a shax ball in the direction of the observer. Hearing a scream cut short, he quickly ran over and found Freya with a couple of scratches from the spiky ball. "Are you okay, Freya?" he asked quietly. And then he remembered that shax balls paralyze anyone it hits, meaning Freya wouldn't be able to move her lips to speak. "Okay, Freya, I'm going to help you. I'm so sorry." Garashi gently picked up and carried Freya to his house. "Normally, it's someone trying to hurt me. I'm sorry," Garashi whimpered, setting Freya on his bed until the paralysis wore off. For Freya, she could only move her eyes, and soon fell asleep. Why was he being so nice to me? Everyone knows he's a demon, right? Freya thought as she fell asleep. Garashi couldn't help but wonder why, of all people, Freya would be spying on him. Was she sent to do that? He noticed that the sun was near the position of dinner, so Garashi went and cooked up some fish and rice. "Freya, are you feeling better now?" he asked quietly, hoping she didn't run away. Surprisingly, Freya was slowly sitting up and brushed the leaves out of her hair. "Wait, you're still here? Why?" questioned Garashi. Freya hesitated. "I was still asleep then. I had no intention to escape. Yet." Garashi was shocked and happy she stayed. "Well, I made dinner, if you feel okay." Freya shyly stood up and headed toward the dining room. Garashi was so happy he wasn't eating alone tonight, and he couldn't help but smile while eating. "What is he doing?
Is he waiting me to fall ill from the poison he put in this? Freya thought. No, maybe... Wait! Freya had a shock of guilt. I knew immediately what she realized then. Garashi had never had anyone come for dinner. Hey, do you want to study some magic with me on Friday? Garashi bubbled. Freya went to the same school, and they had the same magic class together. He was interested in the scary creatures, but Freya liked the gentler creatures. Sure, why not? Freya said without thought. Oh, no. Everyone will see what I'm doing. Being with this cursed freak? He does seem like a harmless boy, Freya thought, not knowing she was making a face. Freya, it's okay if you hate me too, Garashi said, the smile leaving his face. Freya shot up her shoulders and opened her mouth, nothing coming out. I don't hate you. I mean, she stuttered. It's just I don't normally, with... She trailed off. Garashi was so confused. I knew then that they were going to get into some trouble eventually. You know why people don't like you? Freya said with an obvious tone, glancing around the room. No, I don't. Is it my cheek marks? Garashi mused with innocent eyes. Freya then remembered when the chief came out and told everyone that they shouldn't speak to Garashi about the demons. Freya, is there something you know about it? Garashi asked quietly, looking for answers. Not a word about the demon foxes were spoken, and Freya went home, not telling anyone where she was. The next day, Garashi felt better than before. He had someone not running away from him. He went to the market and happily bought fruits and bread, along with other items of food. But when Garashi passed the flower shop, he couldn't help but get some flowers for Freya. So he went inside to get some yellow foxtails for Freya, ironically. Garashi wrote, "To a great friend," on a tag and wrapped the flowers with it. A while later he knocked on the door of Freya's house, but Freya's father answered instead. In a low voice, Freya's dad answered. "What do you want, kid?" he asked, annoyed. Garashi stood there and politely asked to speak with Freya. Confused, he called for Freya, and as soon as she saw Garashi, she burned up red. "No, Garashi, what are you doing here, dummy?" she thought. And then she saw the flowers and calmed down. Garashi?" she asked, anxious about how her dad would react. But all Garashi did was kneel down and quietly, "I'm sorry for hurting you, Freya," he said quickly. Freya's dad flared up. "You what?" He pushed Freya back before she grabbed the flowers. "What did you do to my daughter?" he yelled. Garashi fell to the ground and tried to stop him. "Dad, it was nothing. I just scared him," Freya said, grabbing his hand. "No, he's a monster, just like we always knew," he snarled. Already, Garashi was paralyzed with fear. "Then why did he save me?" Freya asked, knowing how the rest would go. "Yes, I did. I helped her to dinner, too," Garashi said, hoping that would help. At this point, the rest of the people in the area heard and saw what was happening. "Hacha, you're going to anger that thing! Leave it alone," one villager said. "Yeah, he's the Hacha, don't bug him," another said. "Oh, I know who it is," Freya's dad hissed out, getting closer to Garashi. Freya could only watch. She looked away, guilty of the fact. Just then, Mataro jumped out of nowhere and got Hacha into a headlock. She knocked Freya's dad to the ground and growled. Everyone stared at the black-haired girl. She lashed her tail and glared at Freya with her wild yellow eyes. "Nobody touches Kroshimu," she hissed, grabbing Garashi and pinning her ears back angrily. She quickly left into the trees with Garashi in her arms. "Garashi!" Freya cried. Garashi was unconscious from Hacha, because when he fell, he hit Garashi. They went into the fox den that Mataro made. Up in a tall tree was a small hut. She laid Garashi on a bed and waited happily for him to wake up. A while later, at night, Garashi woke up and sat up quietly. "Where am I now?" he whispered. Mataro went on a night hunt, so she wasn't there.
Hiroshi walked out of the room and saw that there was a cooked chicken prepared on the table. "For you," a note was written messily on a leaf. Who'd saved me? Especially someone like me, he thought out loud. He finished the chicken and looked around the hut. There was a cutout in the tree trunk. It was a carving of all 7 foxes, and 3 little humans under some. One looked like him, another looked like Freya, and the last was a girl. With a tail? Who did all this? Hiroshi said out loud, running his hand along the carving. That was Marblissu, Mataro said behind him. Hiroshi screamed and turned around to see who was talking to him. "Oh, sorry, you didn't hear me? Did you?" Hiroshi said, taking a step back. "No, I was talking to myself," Hiroshi said, noticing her tail. He looked at the carving and back at her. "You're the one in a carving," Hiroshi said, answering his own question. "Mataro," she answered, wagging her tail slightly. "Why don't you go to bed and I'll explain it all in the morning," she said, patting his shoulder. Hiroshi didn't argue and had a hard time sleeping. In the morning, Hiroshi woke up to a raccoon licking his face. "Ah, what is that?" he shouted. Mataro walked over giggling. "Maru, leave him alone," she said, laughing and grabbing the raccoon. "I'm sorry, Kuroshima," Mataro giggled. Hiroshi was so confused about what she was talking about. He couldn't stop thinking about her tail and the carving. "Do you know my name? 'Cause it's nothing like Kuroshima," Hiroshi said, petting Maru, the raccoon. Mataro gave a sideways look at him, and then she realized that she was just calling him Kuroshima, but he would obviously have his own name. "Oh, well, I was mostly talking to Kuroshima, but I should still get your name," Mataro said, sitting down on the bed. Hiroshi was still confused. He couldn't handle another word unless he asked about whoever Kuroshima was. "Okay, first, who the heck is Kuroshima?" he yelled. He didn't even know why he yelled, but he quickly retracted his anger and slumped down, waiting for what Mataro would say. Mataro tilted her head and gestured to the carving. "You really don't know. I'm impressed," she said, looking at the foxes. "That's Marblissu, this is Fekfanis, and this is Kuroshima," she pointed, looking at Hiroshi for a second. Then turning around, she spoke softly. "Marblissu is with me, Fekfanis is with Freya, and Kuroshima..." Hiroshi froze. "No way! It can't... Kuroshima? That 9-tailed fox demon? In me?" Mataro had a hard feeling Kuroshima had never talked to this boy. "That's not possible," he said, with his hands on his eyes. Mataro was upset that she had to tell him. A strong wind blew through the forest, and to Mataro, Marblissu was talking to her. Mataro lifted her ear to the wind. "Yes, Marblissu, I think he is too." Hiroshi looked up at her. "Who are you talking to?" he asked Mataro. "Oh, I'm talking to Marblissu," she said, smiling and wagging her tail. "So, now you know me and Marblissu. What's your name?" Mataro cooed, tapping her finger on his forehead. "Hiroshi, well, why hasn't Kuroshima talked to me? It doesn't make sense," Hiroshi murmured. For me, I could see Kuroshima was just not wanting to be seen yet, but Marblissu just saw that he was unconscious in the body. Kuroshima knew when to show himself. No one else seemed to know. "Ooh, can I tell Freya about hers?" Mataro said, patting Hiroshi's back. I need her here," she said, biting her lip. Hiroshi had so many thoughts going on in his head, he couldn't even breathe. "Hiroshi?" Mataro said, looking at him straight. "She couldn't go to the village by herself, could she?" "Freya, she has a demon too?" Hiroshi squeaked. I don't know if I could break that to her," he whimpered. Mataro smirked and rolled her eyes, then went to go see if she could get Freya to come with her. Where could Hiroshi have gone? And who took him? Freya thought as she walked through the forest looking for Hiroshi. She yelled out his name every now and again until
So, you want Garashi? Motaro said from a tree. Come to me, and you'll find him, okay? She said, sliding down the tree. Freya was getting nervous about her, but remembered that she is the one who took Garashi. So you'll take me to him? Freya said, shaking ever so slightly. Yes, Ficfonus. I know where Kroshimu is, Motaro said, laughing mischievously and running back to the treehouse. Wait, who are you talking about? Freya shouted, trying to keep up with Motaro. Soon enough, Freya made it to the big treehouse, and Motaro was already climbing up the vines. Wait up, Freya said, out of breath, as she still tried climbing up the tree. When she made it closer to the hut at the top, Motaro swung her up to the platform. Freya yelped and flopped down on her back, gasping for breath, quickly fainting from the shock. Motaro said, laughing, You're not strong enough to see him if you can't climb a tree. She smiled. Freya woke up in a room with 2 beds. She was in one, and Garashi! Freya went straight to him. He was awake and sitting there. Why is she hugging me? Garashi thought. Wasn't she afraid of me, like everyone else? He sat there enjoying the hug and almost wanted to never tell her the truth, because he's never gotten a hug before, and if she was scared all the time, she might never hug him again. Motaro walked in and handed Freya a bread bowl. Sorry for being in a rush, she giggled. Freya ate the bread while Garashi explained the things about Motaro and him, even though Freya knew about Garashi's fox already. So, Freya, I get berries, Garashi lied, so Motaro could talk to Freya alone. He went out and found a place close by to meditate, while Motaro broke it down easily on Freya. Look at these foxes, Freya. What do you see? Motaro asked softly. Okay, I say 7 demons carved on a tree, with 3 of us at the bottom, Freya said nervously. Yes, that's the top layer. Dig deeper, Freya, she sighed. Freya got a weird pulse of energy she immediately knew, but denied it. I wish she wouldn't push it away. It'll only make things worse. A voice in Freya's head whispered. An immediate headache burst through Freya, and all Motaro could do was watch. What did you do? Freya yelled in pain. Garashi opened his eyes in the black and white forest, identical to the one he was originally in. A burst of energy coursed his way into Garashi. Instinctively, he looked up, and there he was, Kroshimu. What do you want, monster? He yelled up. Slowly, Kroshimu bent over to Garashi. I should be asking you, he hissed. This is my home inside of you. Small growl let out. Garashi was put in a tight spot. He didn't know how to escape, but he still wanted to ask questions. So, Garashi growled, laying down to get comfortable. How do I get out? He decided. Kroshimu looked up and thought, just leave. Pretend to open a door. He sighed. Garashi was so confused, but gave it a shot, and it worked. Freya, are you okay? Motaro said, trying to calm her down. Take a rest, okay? She continued. But as she tried to touch her, Freya hit back and fell down with an angry scream. Garashi opened his eyes and felt good about his accomplishments, but his grin vanished when he heard a scream coming from the hut. Garashi quickly jumped up the tree, climbing as fast as he could, and when he got to the top, Garashi couldn't believe his eyes. Motaro? He whispered. She was pushed into a corner and had a small scratch on her arm, while Freya was in the middle of the room, crying. He noticed scratches all over, and some suspicious feeling Freya gave him. Freya, are you... He was cut off by Motaro. She had pure fear in her eyes, and immediately a fox ear perked up from Freya's head, and another. She stood up very ghostly. Then 2 tails flopped to the ground, connecting to Freya. Garashi couldn't believe his eyes. She looked like Motaro almost, but Freya let out a laugh, then giggled.
She looked up to reveal white star pupils in the middle of black, glittering eyes. She started to laugh in a spine-chilling way, and not a friendly way at all. Karashi let Motaro down slowly and stared at Freya. He didn't know what to do. "How long has it been, Kuroshimu?" An inhuman voice cooed. More laughter filled the canopy, and a deep frown showed on Freya's face. Karashi threw a shax ball at her, but she caught it in her teeth and spit it out. Shocked, Karashi tried a web spell he knew. "Spirus!" he shouted, swinging his hand. A green, sticky string surrounded Freya. All of a sudden, tons of red orbs burned the string. Motaro gathered her courage to fight. Because of Marblusu, she knew some magic. "Vicfanis, stop!" she yelped, trying to put her to sleep. "Vicfanis only listens to her alpha," she growled. And Motaro knew that was Kuroshimu. Kuroshimu was the alpha, so she nudged over Karashi. "And I guess that means I'm your alpha, and I'm telling you to leave Freya alone. No more evil destruction," Karashi said sternly. A shocked expression came over the possessed girl. "What?" she whispered. "No, Vicfanis!" Karashi yelled, being way louder than he wanted to be. She almost got scared at him. Her ears went down, and she stood there waiting for the next command. Karashi couldn't believe that worked, but had to keep a straight face. "Okay, now let Freya go," he instructed, standing up boldly. She scoffed, and an orange aura blew up around her. She went back to normal. She was unconscious, but right away, Karashi ran over and picked her up in his lap. "I'm sorry, I didn't know Vicfanis would do this," Motaro said quickly. But Karashi didn't think any part of this was Motaro's fault. "I'm just glad she's safe," he whispered. At one point, Karashi had no control over his feelings. He just knew that one day Freya would love him, like he loved her.